Picture this, it's the 1950s. You're headed to the airport, but you're not in sweatpants, Crocs, and a neck pillow. You're wearing a three-piece suit or a cocktail dress. You smell like expensive perfume and unfiltered cigarettes. This is the so-called golden age of air travel. We're told it was glamorous, elegant, civilized, and visually, sure, it looked fantastic. But grab a drink, preferably a strong one, like they did back then, because once you peel back the nostalgia, the reality of 1950s flying was a bizarre mix of luxury, regulation, and just a touch of danger. I'm Bill, and this is Buffalo Air Park. Let's dive in. Let's start with the part nobody puts in coffee table books, the price. In 1955, a round-trip ticket from New York to London cost about $666. Coincidence? Sounds reasonable until you adjust for inflation. That's nearly $7,800 today. In other words, every economy seat was priced like a modern international first-class ticket. Why? Because the government, specifically the Civil Aeronautics Board, treated airlines like public utilities. They controlled routes. They controlled prices, and airlines were legally forbidden from competing by lowering fares. The message was basically, don't compete too hard, everyone gets a slice. The results? Sky-high prices and guaranteed profits. One report from the 1960s noted that the average Australian worker would need 3 months of wages just to afford a single flight to London. For most people, the golden age wasn't something you experienced, it was something you watched from the airport observation deck. Since airlines couldn't compete on price, they competed on perks, and nowhere did this get pettier than food. My favorite story from the era is the 1958 Sandwich War. The International Air Transport Association ruled that economy passengers crossing the Atlantic were entitled to sandwiches, not full meals. So Scandinavian Airlines found a loophole. They served lavish, open-faced sandwiches piled high with meat, cheese, and garnishes, basically a full meal with bread technically involved. Pan American World Airways complained to regulators, arguing that these meals were disguised as sandwiches. It got so heated that the IATA had to legally define what a sandwich was. Meanwhile, up in first class, it was a completely different universe. Roast beef carved aisle side, lobster thermidor, bone china, heavy silverware, dessert carts. And the food was heavily seasoned, not because chefs were reckless, but because cabin pressure and dry air diluted taste buds by as much as 30%. Luxury, yes, but scientifically engineered luxury. Now, let's talk about the cabin atmosphere. Today, if you light a cigarette on a plane, federal agents appear from thin air. In the 1950s, if you didn't smoke, people probably thought you were strange. Ventilation was terrible. The air was thick with smoke, and flight attendants, then called stewardesses, would hand out free cigarettes and light them for you. Add in free alcohol, no entertainment, and long flights through weather, and you basically had a flying cocktail party held inside a vibrating metal tube. Before jets became common, aircrafts like the Super Constellation flew lower, right through storms. They were loud, they shook constantly, and people got airsick, a lot. That's why early flight attendants were often registered nurses. Their job description included first aid, and managing a surprising amount of vomit. Here's where modern minds really snap. You could arrive at the airport 20 minutes before departure. No ID, no screening, no metal detectors. Your whole family could walk right up to the gate and wave goodbye as you boarded. Liberating? Sure. Safe? Not even close. In a grim twist of irony, airports sold life insurance policies from vending machines right before boarding. And in 1955, a man named Jack Graham bought one of those policies, planted a bomb in his mother's suitcase, and destroyed United Flight 629 over Colorado. Golden Age, with a dark edge. Safety was improving, but slowly. In 1956, 2 airliners collided over the Grand Canyon, killing everyone aboard and exposing just how primitive air traffic control really was. That disaster helped push the creation of the Federal Aviation Administration, aka the FAA. And the aircraft themselves, they had quirks. The Lockheed Electra suffered from a phenomenon called whirl mode, where engine vibrations could flex the wings until, well, they failed. Not exactly comforting information at 20,000 feet. So, was it really the golden age? Sure, the legroom was incredible, about 34 inches compared to today's sardine tins. Everyone dressed like they were going to a gala. And yes, the lobster was real. but you were paying the price of a used car to sit in a smoke-filled cabin, rattling through storms, with primitive navigation, minimal oversight, and the quiet knowledge that there was a life insurance kiosk in the terminal, just in case. Today, we might get herded like cattle and charged for our carry-ons, but the tickets are cheap, the planes are safer, and the wings generally stay attached. And honestly, I'll take that trade. And that wraps up another tale from Aviation's Stranger Side. Until next time, keep your eyes on the skies.